Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Study Survival podcast, where we're going to be sharing all our best study tips, tricks, and study hacks that stick. That's a bit of a mouthful every single time, isn't it? How are you doing, Will?
I'm doing very well. I mean, I'm feeling in need of some motivation, Blair.
Yeah?
It's getting to that time of year where, I don't know, the sun's out. I want to be outside. I don't really want to do work. I just want to sort of relax in the sun,
Yeah.
cold drink.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to talking about motivation and how to stay motivated today.
Absolutely.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I've just come back from my holiday, which is why there wasn't a podcast last week, and I'm very nice and tanned. So yeah, I've had a good relax, and I feel more motivated because I've had my little lay in the sun for the week, and I'm quite happy now. But I think motivation is something that's relevant all year round, but especially in the summer. Even when you're revising, whether you're working, whatever you're doing, the sun's shining outside. It's hard to stay focused and stay on track in those moments, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting that you said you now feel really refreshed.
Yeah.
So a lot of people feel really guilty when they rest in between revising or studying. Should you feel guilty for relaxing?
See, it's quite a hard, because I can sit here and say no, but when I was studying for my GCSEs and when I was studying for my A-levels, when I took the time off in my revision breaks, maybe I'd do my revision in the morning, kind of early afternoon, and go out with my friends in the evening. I used to have a little voice in the back of my head being like, other people are revising right now and you're not.
Ooh.
But it is just kind of this awareness of the fact that you do have to take some time off, and you can use that time off as a motivator to get your work done in the morning, get it done early afternoon, so then you can go and enjoy yourself in the early evening, late afternoon. And it's really hard to create this narrative of this is an okay thing to do, but it is so important to take these breaks and these rests and to do some socialization, to have some fun in between. Otherwise, your revision and exam time frame can feel really daunting and really, really overwhelming.
Wow. So you can use rest as a reward
Yeah.
for the revision that you've done. Give me an example of when you've done that.
So, for example, when I got my box back, I didn't do very well. I had to really step up how much revision I was doing, full military style,
Wow.
up at 9, start working at 9:30. And I would do kind of 4 or 5 hours before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I would line up to see my friends at, let's say, 4. Maybe we'd go for some food, go to the arcade, whatever. But I would tell myself I can only go once I've completed the time, like periods of work that I wanted to be doing. So if I hadn't done them in time and maybe I'd taken a longer break at lunchtime or whatever, I would message my friends and say, guys, I'm going to be late. Because it meant that by me setting this expectation in my head of I have to do this work before I go, I wanted to go. Everyone's going to want to go hang out with their friends. And it just kept me on track, but also gave me something to look forward to after I was revising. So it wasn't like I just finished my revision and then was sat around in my house thinking, oh, should I do some more? Do you know what I mean? Getting out, changing your location, getting some of your sunlight in. It's a really good strategy to balance up.
That's awesome. And rest is productive. If you've been studying for ages, it's a productive thing to do. It's like sleep. Sleep's really productive.
Exactly.
It does so many things to help our brains process information.
Exactly.
There's a lot of time where when you're resting, that's when things click. I think some of the best ideas ever, just full stop, that humans have ever had are usually when they're relaxing. It's not usually when they're so, I'm really, really concentrate, find a solution to this. It's when they're off doing something else.
It's 100%. And if you think, like, if you were going to go to the gym and you were trying to train up all of your muscles so you look like the Hulk, you're not going to go to the gym all day, every day. You're going to have to take a rest day or at least a rest afternoon. If you went to the gym 24/7, your muscles, you'd walk up the stairs like that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to move properly. So by giving your brain and treating it the same as some of your bicep muscles or whatever, you need to take this time to rest and let yourself digest and kind of reflect on all of the information so it goes in your head properly.
That's awesome. Let's talk about setting goals.
Okay.
So maybe that's a good place to start, right?
Yeah.
There's short-term goals,
Yep.
and then there are long-term goals.
Indeed.
So a short-term goal might be, I'm going to study this afternoon, or I'm going to study at these points during the week.
Yeah.
And then a long-term goal might be, I'm going to get an 8 in my GCSE maths.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to do this at A-level and this at university. And something that I quite like to do with my long-term goals, I'm a Pinterest girl at heart. So I like to make my little mood boards of like, look, here's the uni I want to go to. Here's this that I want to do. Here's that. And by creating this kind of vision thing, a lot of people find it really useful because you can look at it before you sit down and do some revision and think, okay, why am I doing this? So when I was doing my GCSEs, for example, and I was really struggling with biology, I got 2 in my mock. I had this moment where I was sat down at my desk and I was thinking, God, I really can't be bothered anymore. But by looking at my mood board, I was able to remind myself, right, I'm revising now because I need to get a 7 in biology to do it at college because that's what my college said. And I need to do biology at college because for my psychology degree that I want to do at university, I have to have a science. And so by being able to give myself the reason and the why in so many different levels as to why I was sat down studying before I started my hour revision or whatever, it made me so much more focused, but also kind of not excited because I don't really know anybody that gets excited to do revision, but it gave me this kind of external motivation that was like, yeah, there's a reason behind this. I'm not revising for something I'm never going to use again.
Yeah.
Will I use it when I'm 40 years old? Probably not. But there's a reason in terms of the journey and the steps that I'm going to go through that will result from my exam.
That's really awesome. I feel like most secondary school students don't have that goal.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't. I didn't know what I was going to do, right?
Makes sense.
So where do you start with setting like a long-term goal?
Well, so for me, because I am a Pinterest girl, I go on Pinterest and I find pictures of like a nice house that I quite like the look of. I'll have that in the future. You know, car, I'll have that. And then like I kind of go through, and it's hard because even like family pictures, you know, like, oh, they've got 2 kids. Yeah, I'll have that. And I kind of recognize the things that I would like in my life, whether it's degree specific or not. You're able to kind of identify, okay, for these things that I want, how am I going to get there? So I'm going to want to make this amount of money. I'm going to want to live in this country. So I'm going to want to study that, blah, 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 blah. And you can just kind of go through and just, I think if you start collecting images or ideas that you like, whether you have a really tunnel vision or not, I think it's a good way to just kind of start yourself off initially.
That's really good. And you can always like pivot and change.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
I did a music degree. I'm not doing music now.
Yeah, exactly.
For a living.
My cousin did a geography degree at university and is now an A&E doctor. He did do a transfer course, just to clarify. But you can change your mind at a point. When I was doing my GCSEs, I wanted to be a lawyer. I have dyslexia, and no, that's a lot of reading I'm quite a slow reader. So I changed my tune and decided actually the thing that brings me the most happiness is connecting with people. So I want to do psychology.
That's awesome.
You know.
It's really good. I can't get past the geography degree, A&E doctor.
Absolutely.
They can only operate on rocks.
Yeah. He's here with his little fossils. God. He'll watch this back and be like, there we go. But
wow.
Yeah.
So we've got our goals, maybe, hopefully.
Maybe, hopefully.
Have we helped them get some goals? What are you passionate about? You can only be the best in the world at something, or you can only like do a career in something if you're really passionate about it. Or at least you can do a career that you're not passionate about, but you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I guess like if you don't know where to start at all, what do you really enjoy doing? What are you passionate about? Is it that you want to help people? Is it that you love a specific subject? Probably not. But maybe there's a subject that you quite like and there's an extension of that, right? Like at GCSE, we just look at really big picture science in not very much depth. Maybe there's a specific thing in science. Maybe you really like space in physics, or you really enjoy how things work. I'm literally just thinking about physics here because I enjoy physics. But like degrees are really specifically focused. Yeah. So it might be that you really enjoy this one element of a subject, and that's fine. You can go on and study that specific thing at university. You might really enjoy it.
Exactly. And we'll do a whole episode on it, I'm sure, over the summer or something like that. So keep an eye out for that one. But even things like, do you want to work inside or do you want to work outside? Because you can take it really shallow at the beginning and just kind of have these initial identification points. Do you prefer working in a team of people or do you like to work by yourself?
Great.
All of these kind of things can come together and help you get some direction and kind of an idea of what long-term goals you might like to look at.
It's really great. And you don't have to go to university. There are internships, scholarships, apprenticeships, all of that, which generally is kind of better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. My brother, because I went to uni, obviously, and did a psychology degree. My brother's looking at doing an apprenticeship in business or something. I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but he doesn't want to go to uni. He was like, why would I go and get in 50 grand's worth of debt when I could go and get paid and learn at the same time? I was like, oh yeah, kind of makes sense.
It's really good.
Yeah. We'll come back to the whole job topic at some point in the summer.
Absolutely.
100%. But I think it's important for us to talk a little bit about mindset as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, you should be motivated. What does that actually mean? How do you actually begin to get into those steps? And I think sometimes it's a case of you do just have to gaslight your brain and be so strict with, do you know what? Maybe I'm not the most motivated right now, but I'm just going to do it. And when I come out the other end of my exams or when I come out the end of my revision process, I'm going to be free. You're going to have the best summer of your life. You're going to have a great time because you will be free of all your responsibilities. And it can be a shock when you finish your exams because all of a sudden you're like, oh, all of this time that I've been dedicating towards something is now finished. But creating this mindset is so important so that you can keep those levels of motivation up. So for example, a lot of people talk about fixed mindsets versus growth mindsets. So if you don't know what those are, do you know what those are?
I don't know what those are.
Well, I'll tell you right now. So a fixed mindset is kind of this idea of, if you open a question paper and you've got a question you don't know, maybe you think, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I'm not going to do well in this question. I'm going to do badly on this entire paper. It's this kind of definitive view, if that makes sense. But a growth mindset is more of this kind of, I can't understand this yet. By putting the yet at the end of those sentences, it kind of creates this self-fulfilling prophecy in your head that at some point you'll be able to. And that's so important because it's like when little kids say, oh, I can't sleep now. I don't want to sleep now. You physically can sleep. And if you carry on telling yourself, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, you're not going to sleep. Yeah. So by adding the yet at the end of those sentences, I can't understand this yet. I don't understand how to answer this question yet. It will make you more likely to be open to those kind of challenges and work through the feedback and learn from your mistakes.
That's really great. So this mindset change will not only help you smash your GCSEs, but it might even change your life. It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
People who are successful fail and then they fail and then they fail and then they fail and they just keep going until they're successful.
Yep.
So it's like, I remember failing my driving test and I was completely distraught.
Yeah.
And I think my mum, I don't know exactly what she said, but it was something along the lines of, it's not about getting knocked down, it's how you get back up again.
Exactly.
And that's almost like, it feels a bit cliche, but that was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
As a 17-year-old. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like life is gonna knock you down sometimes.
Absolutely.
That's what life is about.
That's life.
But no, it's like you're not gonna get every question right. Be okay with that.
It's normal.
Look back, see where you went wrong, and learn from it.
Exactly. And even if you think of some of the really famous people that you're aware of, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, she, I think it was 7 times she took her books to publishers and they said no. And now look, I think it is just this case of building up the resilience and getting yourself to a position where you think, what can I learn from this experience going slightly wrong?
Yes.
And this doesn't just apply to school. If you're, how old are you when you're doing your GCSEs? 16? I don't know. Maybe you're exploring the dating world. I don't know. But if you are, you expect to have like a talking stage that maybe goes a bit wrong and that's normal. And then you move on, you carry on, you get on with your life. The same thing goes with your education journey. If you have a past paper that you do and it doesn't go quite to plan, a lot of people I know will go through, mark all their answers and be like, oh, I got 17 out of 20. Cool. And that's the end of what they do with the paper. Look at the 3 questions you got wrong and learn from, okay, I need to go and revisit this topic. Maybe I need to understand what this command word actually means, whether it says discuss, explain, etc., etc. Being able to go back and reflect on those moments and take a learning from it is so important, and it's so good for your personal growth as well as your growth in your educational journey.
I used to get my mark back and then get the feedback from the paper, not look at it.
Yeah.
Put it to the side.
Especially if I didn't do well, I was way more likely just to think, I'll just put that back in my folder, pretend it doesn't exist.
Right. Whereas the most important part is to look, and it's so difficult. It is difficult.
Yeah.
You've put effort into this paper. You've done it. You're like, tick. And then you get feedback and you're like, I'm done with this.
I've done it.
I did that.
Yeah.
Go away. But in actual fact, the feedback of how to do better, that's in there. It's gold. It's gold.
It's the most important bit.
Oh, man.
It's the most important bit.
But it's difficult.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's something to be said about when you get your marks back and you get your topic tests or whatever exam you're getting back. Obviously, it's slightly different on results day because you're probably not going to do half those subjects again. Maybe, who knows? But if you're in year 10 or younger, or if you're in the first year of your A-levels, it applies to you guys especially. If you get that paper back and maybe you aren't overly happy with your grade and you don't necessarily want to get it out at the table with your other friends who maybe have done better, who knows, you can go and make an appointment with your teacher. If you want to go through it one-on-one or just not have as many eyes and be able to really ask questions, emailing your teacher, just a little sentence of, hey, miss, whatever, I'd really appreciate if you had 10 minutes just to go through some of the feedback on my test with me. And to be honest, you might get more out of that conversation than just like the 2 sentences she's written at the bottom or like a cross or where she's ticked for the mark. You'll be able to get a deeper level of understanding in terms of where you need to focus on afterwards.
That's really, really great. So GCSEs are like a competition, right?
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know this. They don't set the grade boundaries before you go in, right? They don't go, okay, everyone who gets 70 marks will get an 8, right? What they do is they look at what everyone scored and then they set the grade boundaries. So you are being tested against the rest of the country doing that GCSE. So it's really important to stay motivated when your peers aren't motivated. When are they least motivated? Probably at this time of the year, right?
This is your chance to get ahead.
The sun's out. It's like, I don't want to study.
Yep.
So this is the really important time to stay motivated. So how do we do it? We set goals. We keep our mindset on point. Maybe we could even make learning fun, Blair.
True. Very true. I'm going to go back real quick and just touch one point.
That's fine.
If you imagine yourself and every single other GCSE student in the UK in a gladiator arena, right? Just see, this is where I was going with the visualization.
Yeah.
Massive Colosseum. You and every single other GCSE student are in there. And there's this is going to be crazy. There's an Indiana Jones, you know the Rolling Stone thing that comes and he has to run? You're all running away from the big ball, right? If somebody stops and pauses while everybody else carries on running, they're probably going to get squished by the ball. So if you think about the people who are losing the motivation over summer, maybe they're thinking, I'd rather tan in the garden. If you keep running, you're not going to get squished. So, that was a bit of a detour and maybe that'll make sense to some people. That would make sense to me, but it's maybe a bit hit and miss. There we go. Anyway, making learning fun.
That's pretty high stakes, Blair. I don't know. I'm kind of freaking out here.
Well, thing is, you'll now run from the ball.
I'm now running.
Exactly.
But also rest is good.
Rest is good too. But don't sit and have a picnic when the ball is coming. Maybe do your shoelace,
Sure. Yeah.
That was a very niche metaphor.
It's a really slow moving ball. There's time to sleep. But we can make running away from that ball really fun.
Yeah.
We could do a bit of a swim. We could put some roller skates on.
Yeah.
So how do we make studying fun, Blair?
Okay, so I think one of the first things is there's so much AI.
Are you AI?
Yeah.
This has been AI this whole time.
Thing is, people might watch this and not.
It's not AI.
We promise we are actually sat in a room right now. Podcast Pete is sat behind and everything. Right, making learning fun. Okay, there's a couple of things you can do. Firstly, there's a load of apps and stuff now. For example, the Forest app. I bang on about that. Honestly, it's still not sponsored. But that is a really good app for keeping yourself motivated, and you grow a little tree and it's so cute. And just using some of these apps and AI stuff that are coming out at the moment can be a really good way just to make your learning feel a little bit less overwhelming. If you can kind of see your progress. I think the Flora app as well, you can have like a leaderboard with your friends who are also revising if you're friends on the app. And then it just kind of creates this gamified version of let's revise together. And this is so fun. And on the topic of let's revise together, study groups can also be quite a good thing to do. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them right close up before an exam, because if you identify that somebody knows loads about a topic and you don't, personally for me, that freaks me out and it can make me a bit more stressed. But especially early doors, having kind of discussions and chats with your friends and teaching each other content and testing each other can be a way to make it feel more fun and more sociable. The important thing is obviously make sure you're revising with the right people in those groups. You don't want to be revising with people who are going to talk the hind legs off a donkey, because you probably won't get any work done. But yeah, and listening to music as well can also be something that makes it feel a little bit more lighthearted. But again, you shouldn't be listening to rap god. I said this in a couple of podcast episodes back. Using lo-fi music, instrumental music, stuff without lyrics is probably your best bet. There's a whole playlist on Spotify, which I listen to sometimes when I'm working, which is like unnecessary jazz. It's called something like that, unnecessary saxophone, where they take like Coldplay songs, whatever, pull the lyrics out, and there's just a saxophone in the back. It's lovely to listen to. And that makes when I'm working feel so much lighter and time goes by a little bit quicker. But do you have any fun studying tips?
No.
Fair enough.
I just study like a boring old man.
Fair play.
I don't know. No, environment's really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So making sure that you've got nothing that's going to distract you. If you're bored, really bored, go see if you can study somewhere else. Maybe you want to go to a cafe.
Yeah.
Some people like a bit of background noise. That's okay. Some people no background noise.
Yeah.
So then you need to make sure you're in a quiet place. But really, it's about understanding your preferred method of studying.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Even working in your garden or park by your house or anything, just like to try and have a change in environment. Also, it might mean you can get some of your suntan still if you take like flashcards or whatever. It can kind of help you, because it's important to still be having fresh air and get some vitamin D and blah, blah, blah. But by switching up your environment, and something I've mentioned on here before is when I was studying for my Spanish GCSE, I used to jump on my trampoline, which my neighbors probably thought I was absolutely crazy. But every time I jumped up, I would say a phrase in Spanish. And when I came back down, I would say it in English. And that was odd, but the terms were going in my head and I was jumping on the trampoline. So I didn't even feel like I was revising.
That's really good.
Yeah. So you just kind of have to experiment a little bit, see what works for you. But the important thing is just be slightly aware of how the balance is between fun and actually effective revision. Because, for example, when I was jumping on the trampoline, it was good for my revision, but was I absorbing as much information as I maybe would sat at my desk? Probably not. But if you do that at maybe the end of the day, once you've done all of your solid revision time first, then maybe that can be a more gentle kind of close off if you're a little bit tired, end of the revision day. And YouTube videos as well can be really helpful. There's quite a few like cartoon animated history videos, for example, where they talk about World War II, and it's like they look like South Park characters and they kind of come across, and that can be a nice way just to remind yourself of some information without doing past papers and it feeling quite tense.
Yeah, it's very good. Check out the physics snack videos if you need.
On
TikTok.
Yeah, Will has started a TikTok where he's posting all the physics content, and they've got all these little cartoon like animation things. Go and have a look at those because they're really sick.
That's good. It's good for cramming, I think, for an exam.
Yeah. I would watch those.
There's a guy who raps biology.
No way.
Yeah.
Sick.
So you can just get that on.
Yeah.
On the way to the exam.
Like woo. Yeah.
That's great.
That kind of stuff's really important.
I have the like start of that song in my head.
Can you perform it for us?
Oh, it's like mitosis. It's a process, and that's all I know.
It is a process.
It is a process. But now I know that.
And now it will be stuck in your head so you can go away and find it.
Wow. That's good. Maybe should I make some physics? So should I rap through the entire physics syllabus? I'm on it.
I'll
do it.
Can't wait. But anyway.
Mark my words.
We'll see it. We'll see the proof in the pudding. Something else I think is really important. Something else I think is really important to talk about is support systems.
Yes.
So if you are struggling a little bit with your motivation, maybe you're feeling a little bit more anxious or whatever's going on, because it does happen. People are human. It's really important to talk to people who you trust. And that could be, God, I'm going to sound like a cat poster now, talk to a trusted parent, family member, older person, basically. But you could also talk to your peers as well. Just make sure that if you are struggling a little bit, you are having a chat with someone, just letting them know what's going on. Because a problem shared is a problem halved. There's the cat poster sentence.
That's great. That's really good advice, because things can feel very, very overwhelming when we're studying, right? And so it's important to talk to someone that you trust, because once you get it out there, suddenly it's not such a massive thing in your head.
100%.
Does that make sense? Because we can build things into this, like, if I don't do this GCSE well, it's going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
But then you chat to someone and you realize this isn't the end of the world.
Exactly. And even when I was doing my GCSEs, my A-levels, and even now, I'm an absolute sucker for my Snapchat private story, because the way in which I rant for so long, anything that's bugging me, anything that I'm stressed about, I go on my private story on Snapchat and I'm like, hey guys, blah, 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 blah. And to be honest, whether somebody's actually watching it or not makes no difference to me, because sometimes I just need to organize my thoughts and just like check myself and my way of thinking. Because sometimes I'll say something and then I'll be like, what? Where did that even come from? And just giving yourself a little bit of a reality check can be really helpful as well. But I think when you speak to your peers, and because obviously speaking to a trusted adult is fantastic, but speaking to your peers as well, sometimes they might turn around and say, hey, I'm in the same boat, but you're not in this alone. We're in this together.
It's really good, and journaling can be really helpful for that as well, right? Just getting all your thoughts down on a page, getting it out of your brain and going, oh,
yeah,
I can manage these things.
This is okay.
Yeah, awesome, great.
Lovely.
So, we're staying motivated, Blair.
Hell yeah.
How are we staying motivated?
We're staying motivated by setting goals.
Marvelous.
Having a growth mindset.
Oh, wow.
Yep. By making our learning a little bit more fun at times.
Absolutely. Resting.
Yep. Using a support system, and just really making sure that we're looking after our well-being and our mental state. Because when you do that and you combine it with kind of organization and planning, your study timetable, etc., you will move at such a different pace to where you've been potentially before. And you'll really see the difference.
Fantastic.
But yeah. Right. I think that's all from us. That was a bit more of a chaotic episode from us today, but we've had too many coffees.
I'm here for it.
But we will see you again same time next week. Make sure you have your post notifications on and you're following and you've liked the video and you know the drill. Do all the things.
Do all the things. Please.
And good luck if you have any exams left. I think there's a couple left at this point. So good luck with those. Remember to breathe. And we'll be here as always next week.
Please follow us so Blair can get paid.
Yeah.
She's not going to get paid if you
I have to prove to my jobs that I'm doing. I have to prove to my boss that I'm doing a good job. But yeah, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.